Hi there, Jazz here, your blind OT. Welcome to the Insight for Blind channel, your user's guide for living your best life with vision loss. One of the best things about the holiday season is spending extra time with family and friends. Quite often this means sharing a meal at someone's home or in a restaurant. However, dining away from home can be a little stressful if you have difficulty seeing what's on your plate. So in today's video, I'm going to show you techniques to help you dine with dignity no matter where you are, if you have low vision or no vision. So let's get started. When you're dining at home, there are some things that you can do to enhance what you can see on your table or on your plate if you still have some usable vision. Lighting and contrast are going to be the best methods to optimize what you can see. So be sure that your favorite place to eat either has spot lighting or enough ambient light to lighten up your area so you can see comfortably but not have glare. Some dining rooms tend to be dim because they rely on a single fixture over the table to create the mood. But as you can see in this room, it creates shadows on the table, which can make it hard to see. If you have the ability to add layers of light to your dining area, like these recessed lights, you'll notice as I brighten the recessed lights, the shadows disappear. And if that central light's too glary, you can make that go away and have a nice, comfortable space for your guests and your visual needs. Contrast is our eye's ability to see the difference between various shades of light and dark. Now you can use this to your advantage when eating by using a dark colored placemat or cloth underneath your light colored dishes or a light cloth underneath your dark colored dishes. This will make your dishes pop and make them easier for you to see. For example, using solid white plates will give you your best contrast for seeing the food that's on your plate. You'll notice here that I actually put the white rice in a little black bowl, so it's easy to see. Gives it a little artistic flair, but it's functional. Now you really want to stay away from busy or colorful patterns that will compete with the food on your plate. That'll just make it easier for you to see. When you want to set a special table for guests, contrast can be functional but fun. I like to use a light tablecloth and then frame the plates with colorful and festive chargers. Now this will not only make the plates stand out, but the colorful glasses, napkins, and decor as well. Contrast is visually appealing to everyone with any degree of vision. So let's talk about some techniques that can help you no matter where you're dining. When you're in a restaurant, one of the biggest stressors for people with low vision is dim lighting because it makes it really hard to see the table in front of you or what's on your plate. That's why it's important for everyone with any degree of vision loss to get comfortable with the following techniques. Menus are an obstacle that can easily be overcome nowadays by going online. All restaurants have their menus available on the web. If you're not tech savvy, you can always ask a friend or family member to sit and go through it with you before going to the restaurant. If that's not an option, you can always think about what you're in the mood for and ask your server for recommendations. Like, you know, I really feel like eating fish. What would you recommend off the menu? Of course, if you read Braille, most restaurants offer a Braille menu. And I gotta tell you, those servers get real excited when they have an opportunity to take it out. Once you become oriented to what's on the table in front of you, you can use proprioception to find what you need. Proprioception is body memory, and here's how it works. If you have any degree of vision, I'm gonna need you to close your eyes. Pick up an object that's close to you, place it on a surface close by and put your hand in your lap. Keep those eyes closed. Now reach out and pick it up. Were you able to find it quickly? So the joints in your body have receptors that send signals up to your brain when they move. So your brain remembers how far your shoulder flexes, your elbow extends to place that object down on the surface. This is why you don't need vision to find it again. It's called proprioception, and it can help you when you're dining in the dark. For example, once you find your glass, you should be able to bring it up to your lips and then place it back on the table, and then easily find it again when you need to take another sip. Now you can use this same technique with your fork, with your salt and pepper, or anything else that you need to use on the table. In fact, proprioception can be really handy when managing your knife to cut your food, because it can keep you from having to feel around every time you have to pick it up to make another slice. And if you train yourself to always face the blade in the same direction when you put your knife down, it makes dining even easier. So let's talk about safe methods for identifying the blade on your knife. Now, most people's first inclination is to just use their fingers, but that is not safe, especially if you have any degree of sensory loss in those fingers. But luckily, most restaurants, when they give you a knife, it's going to have a serrated edge. So the simplest thing to do is to take your fork and run the blade along the prongs, like that. If you run the knife over the prongs and it's smooth, well, then you've got the dull side of the blade. If you feel the bumps and hear it, then you've got the serrated side. If that doesn't work, you can run your finger up the handle of the knife. If there's a smooth transition that forms a straight line, that is the dull side of the knife. The blade or sharp side is usually going to extend out further than the handle, and you'll be able to feel some sort of notch. Before you start cutting into your food, you need to identify everything that's on your plate. Now, this is where your sense of touch really comes in handy. If you ordered your food in a restaurant, you should know it's going to be on the plate. But you can take your fork and explore so that you can tell where everything is. Each different type of food is going to have a different texture, and when you probe it with your fork, you're going to tell the difference. For example, your meat versus your vegetable versus a rice or a pasta. Practice this at home so you can get comfortable with this skill. If you're dining with someone sighted, your companion can assist you by comparing the position of your food on the plate with the hands of a clock. For example, my Salisbury steak is at 6 o'clock, my rice is at 10 o'clock, and my green beans are at 2 o'clock. Once you've identified what you want to cut, you want to explore it with your fork to see the size of it and the position on the plate. Now, I'm going to use this Salisbury steak for my example, and it's circular, so I'm going to start by cutting it in half first, because that'll make it easier to cut off bite-sized pieces. So stab your fork into the edge of your meat so you can get a nice bite-sized piece. Then make sure you've got the sharp side of the blade and run the blade down the rounded edge of the prongs into the meat and cut. This should give you a nice bite-sized piece, but you want to go ahead and pick it up and test the weight of it to make sure that it's not awkward or too big of a piece that might need to be cut again. I suggest that you cut, take a bite, cut your next piece, take another bite. This will help you to keep track of the food that's on your plate. If you absolutely don't feel comfortable cutting up your own food, you can always ask your server to have it cut up in the kitchen before it's served to you. Have you ever accidentally pushed food off the edge of your plate without knowing it? Ugh, it happens to the best of us. It's so easy to happen when you can't see the food on your plate. But luckily, there are some methods that you can use to prevent this from happening. First, use a pusher, like a piece of bread or a knife, to literally push the food onto your fork. This will prevent you from pushing it over the edge. Your second option is to periodically throughout your meal take your fork and go around the edges of the plate and push everything toward the middle. This will keep it away from the edge. Lastly, it doesn't hurt to keep your non-dominant hand discreetly on the edge of the table in case you need to sneak in there with a pusher and quickly get it onto your fork. Hey, it is what it is. We all need a little bit of extra help every now and then. So now you have insight into how this works. You can dine with dignity no matter what degree of vision loss you have. If you have low vision, enhance that vision through the use of lighting and contrast when possible. But when you're dining out, I suggest that you develop your adaptive skills for touch and proprioception, whether you have low vision or no vision. If you train your brain to use all your senses to perform a task, then you'll gain the confidence to go anywhere and try anything. Just start slow and build your skills in familiar places with familiar people. Then you can branch out and test those skills when you're ready to try something new. This sounds like a good New Year's resolution. So cheers to you and what you can do. Thanks for watching. Click the thumbs up if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe to receive notifications for new videos. Send me your comments, your questions, or ideas for future videos. I'd love to hear from you. My job is to give you the tips, tools, and techniques for living your best life with low vision or no vision. So no worries, you got this. See you next time.